There is a point where action continues, but the center it once revolved around is no longer there. You still do things. You still respond. You still carry responsibility. But the sense of you at the center of it all has softened. This episode is about what it's like to live and act when there's no longer a fixed point holding everything together. For much of life, action is organized around a center, a sense of self that needs to be maintained, expressed, protected, or improved. We do things not just because they need to be done, but because they say something about who we are. Work confirms identity. Responsibility proves worth. Effort reinforces continuity. Even rest can feel justified only if it serves the center. But there may come a time when that center loosens. Not because you rejected it, not because you dismantled it intentionally, but because it no longer feels necessary to hold life together. At first, this can feel disorienting. Without a center, action can feel oddly unmotivated. You may wonder why you're doing what you're doing. You may notice that the old reasons don't carry the same weight. Why am I working? Why am I helping? Why am I continuing? These questions don't come from confusion. They come from honesty, and they don't demand answers. Action doesn't stop when the center softens. It changes character. You still wake up. You still attend to what's in front of you. You still meet responsibilities. But you're no longer doing them to maintain a sense of self. You're doing them because they're there. This can feel almost mechanical at first, as if something essential has gone missing, as if you're moving through life without the usual emotional charge. But nothing essential is missing. What's missing is self-reference. When there's no center, action becomes simpler. There's less internal dialogue about whether you want to do something, whether it aligns with you, whether it confirms who you are. You respond because something needs responding to. That's it. This can feel unsettling if you're used to acting from identity. Identity provides continuity. It tells a story about why things matter and how they fit together. Without it, life can feel flatter at first, but it's also lighter. There's less inner weight attached to each action. You're not carrying the extra burden of proving yourself through what you do. Responsibility remains, but it's no longer personal in the same way. You're responsible because something is required, not because you need to be someone who is responsible. This distinction is subtle, but it changes everything. When responsibility isn't tied to identity, it stops being heavy. It becomes situational. You do what's needed while it's needed, and then you stop. There's no residue. You don't replay it. You don't build a narrative around it. You don't carry it forward as evidence. You simply move on. This doesn't mean you become careless or detached. In fact, care can deepen here. When you're not acting to reinforce yourself, attention becomes cleaner. You listen more fully. You respond more precisely. You're less distracted by how you appear. There's a quiet competence that emerges when action is no longer inflated by self-concern. You may notice this especially in work. Tasks that once felt loaded with meaning now feel straightforward. You do them, not because they define you, but because they're part of the day. There's less resistance, less ambition, less resentment. Not because you're trying to be detached, but because the emotional hooks aren't there. Work becomes work again. This can be misinterpreted as disengagement. Others may notice that you're quieter, less invested in outcomes, less reactive to success or failure. But you're not disengaged. You're unhooked. Action without a center doesn't mean action without care. It means care is no longer filtered through identity. You don't need to care about everything equally. You don't need to give everything meaning. You attend to what's in front of you and let the rest go. This can feel like a loss if identity has been your primary motivator. You may grieve the intensity that once accompanied effort, the sense of purpose that came from striving. But intensity isn't the same as engagement. What replaces it is steadiness. You may notice that you're less driven but more consistent, less urgent but more reliable. You don't push yourself as hard, but you also don't burn out in the same way. Action finds its own rhythm. There can be moments of doubt here. If I'm not driven, will I stop? If I don't care deeply, will things fall apart? If I'm not motivated, will I fail? These fears come from the belief that pressure is what keeps life moving. But pressure was never the only force. Life has its own momentum. You've seen this before in moments where you acted without thinking about yourself at all, helping someone instinctively, responding to a situation naturally, doing what needed to be done without deliberation. Those moments didn't require identity. They required presence. This episode isn't suggesting you eliminate goals or plans. Goals may still arise, plans may still be made, but they're no longer holding your sense of self together. They're tools, not anchors. You use them when they're helpful. You let them go when they're not. Action without a center is flexible. You may notice that failure feels different here. When things don't go as planned, there's less collapse, less self-judgment, less need to explain or defend. You adjust and continue. Success feels different too. There's less inflation, less sense that something has been proven. You acknowledge what happened and move on. Nothing needs to be solidified. This can feel almost invisible from the outside. Others may not notice much difference, but internally, there's less strain. You're not carrying the weight of being someone through everything you do. You're just doing what's needed. This doesn't mean you stop caring about outcomes entirely. It means outcomes don't define you. You're not inside the action trying to extract meaning from it. You're alongside it, participating. There's a quiet trust that develops here. Trust that life doesn't require a central manager to function. Trust that you don't need to hold everything together personally. You respond. You rest. You respond again. Nothing is being orchestrated. This season isn't about becoming passive. It's about recognizing that effort doesn't need to be fueled by identity. When the center falls away, what remains is surprisingly capable. If you're listening to this and noticing that you're still doing what needs to be done, even though the old sense of drive has softened, you're not failing to care. You're acting without a center, and life is still moving. If these reflections feel like something you can sit with, you're welcome to stay. Liking the video helps it reach others who may feel uneasy about losing motivation. And if you want to keep a steady space like this available, you can subscribe, not for direction, but for companionship. If someone you care about seems quieter in their effort lately, less defined by what they do, you're welcome to share this with them, only if it feels right. Life doesn't need a center to function. It only needs responsiveness.